flying down the line of the Mount Newman Mining Company's railroad in Australia's remote and spectacular northwest Pilbara region. These are some of the longest iron ore trains in the world. Each train of 240 cars stretches out like a winding snake for more than 3 kilometres. 3 powerful locos pulling and 2 more back along the train pushing a mighty load of more than 25,000 tonnes on a long journey through the outback. These great trains of the world have been developed to serve some of the great mines of the world. The Mount Newman Mining Company, a subsidiary of Australia's biggest corporation, BHP, has one of the world's largest iron ore mines here at Mount Whaleback, in the ophthalmia range of the Pilbara hinterland. In the past 2 decades, around 1.5 billion tonnes of this mountain have been moved to extract more than 500 million tonnes of high-grade iron ore. And all of that iron ore has been shipped out through this railroad. It leaves the mine site and the town of Newman to wind through the Fortescue River Valley and the Chichester Range. Here, after a 26-kilometre climb, the trains glide down from the hills country to the coastal plain and the run to Port Hedland at the coast. The standard gauge railroad took 9 months to build using standard carbon rail, which weighed 66 kilograms per metre, the heaviest then used in Australia. By its opening in January 1969, world track laying records had been broken time after time on what a film of the day called the Chiller Trail, Aboriginal for Trail of the Snake. Since that time, the railroad has carried more than 500 million tonnes of iron ore, and the volume will further increase in the years ahead with the development of other ore bodies in the East Pilbara. It carries a greater tonnage than the entire Western Australian government railway system, with a scheduled capacity of 40 million tonnes a year. At the present rate of operation, 6 trains leave the mine each day. In a 3-hour turnaround, crews are changed, and it takes just 70 minutes to load a 192-car train. But trains of this length are being phased out. With 3 locos pulling, it was necessary to stop at the Chichesters and bank 2 more locos from behind for the climb through the ranges. This system changed to have 4 locos pulling for a non-stop run through the hill climbs. But now all trains are to be of the bigger configuration proven in recent years, with 240 cars in an assembly known as a locotrol train. Throughout the entire journey, 5 locos are used. 3 pulling at the front, with 2 others stationed 140 cars back and operated remotely from the lead locos through a control car, which is followed by another 100 iron ore cars. Because this is a single-track railroad, long crossover sidings along the way allow the port-bound loaded trains to pass the mine-bound empty trains. Loaded trains travel at a maximum 75 kilometers an hour, and it takes just 8 hours to reach the port. At the port, the locos go off for servicing. The ore cars are split into shorter rakes for unloading into the dumpers. A winch and indexing arm position the cars for tipping 3 cars at a time in the main dumper. An entire train is unloaded in a couple of hours. The ore is screened and crushed if necessary on its way to the stockpiles. Bucket wheel reclaimers recover it from the stockpiles for loading into the giant ships that have made Port Hedland Australia's largest tonnage port. The ore ships are some of the biggest in the world, and they make a grand sight as they enter and leave the port. The biggest of them has a length of 328 metres and a deadweight of 260,000 tonnes. The record load from the port on the Hyundai Giant was 234,000 wet metric tonnes.
The railroad is an integral part of Mount Newman mining. It's almost a conveyor belt that links the port with the mines. It's a fundamental part of the overall production process, and it's very important that the railroad continues to be seen as that rather than an entity in itself. Nevertheless, we're very, very proud of the technology we're using within the railroad. It's very important that we continue to use innovative technology, push things to the limit so that we can maintain the best possible use of technology to reduce the overall costs of the railroad.
All of the new developments in technology, such as locotrol trains, the rebuilt locomotives, the new locomotives on order, and technology in grinding and tamping, have the aim of reducing costs to reach the business objectives of the railroad and the final shipping of ore. Despite the rise in inflation over the past 5 to 6 years, the railroad has been